A love letter to New York. My journey through the city that never sleeps. The plane wheels touched down at JFK just as the sun broke over the Atlantic, casting a golden hue across the tarmac. I pressed my forehead to the window, breath fogging the glass, eyes wide like a child arriving at Disneyland. But this wasn't a theme park, this was New York City. The real one. The one that doesn't need filters or editing. It buzzes, it breathes, and it dares you to keep up. I stepped into the airport chaos, and the city greeted me not with politeness, but with presence. A woman shouted at her taxi driver in thick Brooklynese. A man in a business suit sprinted past, coffee in one hand, phone in the other. Somewhere nearby, someone was playing jazz on a saxophone. It wasn't perfect, but it was alive. Manhattan, the pulse of power. The first time I walked into Times Square, it felt like stepping inside a living organism made of light. Neon screens blinked messages at me from every direction, ads for Broadway shows, clothing lines, tech gadgets I'd never heard of. People weren't walking, they were swimming in a river of momentum, swept by the current of ambition. I stood in the center of it all, overwhelmed but strangely calm. There's something cathartic about being completely anonymous in a place so crowded. Nobody cared where I was from, and I love that. Here, you don't need permission to be anyone. You just are. Later that day, I wandered into Central Park. Within 10 minutes, I'd forgotten the city existed. Trees rustled, dogs barked, children laughed as they raced down winding paths. A jazz duo played under a bridge, the saxophonist swaying like he was born for this. I sat on a bench eating a bagel I'd picked up from a hole-in-the-wall deli on 5th Avenue. Cream cheese smudging my fingertips. It was the best bagel I'd ever had. Maybe it was the park. Maybe it was New York. Brooklyn, art, grit, and soul. I crossed the Brooklyn Bridge at dusk. The skyline behind me looked like a watercolor painting left out in the rain, vibrant, slightly blurred, utterly beautiful. In Dumbo, couples were taking engagement photos. A street artist painted a mural on the side of an abandoned warehouse. Nearby, a tiny bookstore hosted an open mic poetry night. I stepped inside and listened to a 17-year-old girl read a poem about subway trains and broken hearts. Everyone clapped like she was Maya Angelou. In Williamsburg, I wandered into a coffee shop with exposed brick walls and mismatched furniture. The barista had green hair and tattoos of constellations. She handed me a cortado and said, "You look like you needed that." She wasn't wrong. Brooklyn has a heartbeat. It's different from Manhattan's, it's slower, more intentional. It's the place where artists scrape by on rent and dreams, where murals bloom on concrete, and where gentrification battles with community history. But the soul is still there. You can hear it in the music drifting from apartment windows at 2 a.m. The outer boroughs, real stories, real people. I didn't just want the postcard New York. I wanted every New York. In the Bronx, I visited the birthplace of hip-hop. I stood at the corner where DJ Kool Herc once changed the world with a turntable. Murals of Biggie and Tupac stared down at me from walls like silent prophets. In Queens, I ate the best Nepali momos of my life in a tiny, family-run restaurant with no sign, just a blue curtain and the smell of garlic pulling me in. Down the block was a Colombian bakery. Across the street, a Korean grocery. Queens isn't a melting pot. It's a mosaic, every culture laid next to the other without blending in. It's beautiful. I took the Staten Island Ferry just before sunset. The Statue of Liberty appeared in the haze like something out of a dream. She wasn't just a monument, she was a message. She whispered, "You belong." Food, the flavors of the city. New York tastes like pizza grease on your fingers at midnight. Like hot dogs from a cart outside the Met. Like Halo chicken over rice with white sauce that burns your throat but fills your soul. But it also tastes like foie gras on toast at a rooftop restaurant in Soho, where the waiter calls you darling and the wine costs more than your hotel room. It's caviar and corn dogs, Michelin stars and bodega sandwiches. I tried Ethiopian injera in Harlem, Chinese dim sum in Flushing, Dominican mofongo in Washington Heights. Each meal was a passport stamp. Each flavor was a story told by someone who dared to bring their culture here and say, "This is home now." The art of survival and expression. On Broadway, I saw Hadestown. The curtain rose and I was gone. I wept during the final scene, not just because of the story, but because of the talent. The voices, the precision, the fire. You don't just watch a show on Broadway, you live it. But the real magic? It's on the streets. In a tunnel under the park, a boy played violin with his eyes closed. On the A train, a breakdancer flipped through the air while an old man read The New Yorker, unfazed. Art is everywhere here. Sometimes it's painted. Sometimes it's performed. Sometimes it's just a woman in a red coat dancing down the sidewalk because the right song came on her headphones. Contradictions that work. New York is a contradiction that works. It's a millionaire stepping over a homeless man to get into a Tesla. It's protest signs outside Wall Street. It's a priest blessing a pride parade. One morning, I walked through Harlem and saw a man handing out free coffee from a cooler. Just cause, he said. No strings, no expectations. Just kindness. Later that day, I watched a Wall Street broker yell into 3 phones at once. Both are real. Both are New York moments that stay with you. The best part of New York isn't the skyline, it's the moments. Like hearing a child's laughter echo in the subway tunnel. Like watching the Empire State Building change colors at night. Like sitting beside a stranger in Washington Square Park and realizing neither of you wants to leave. I met a man from Nigeria driving a cab who told me he sends half his paycheck home. I met a violinist who used to play for the Philharmonic, now busking to pay rent. I met a woman who came here at 19, got fired 5 times, and now owns her own bakery. These are not background characters. These are the city. Leaving, or not really. When it was time to go, I stood on the Manhattan Bridge at sunrise. The city shimmered in the distance, lights flickering like embers. I didn't cry, but I felt something break open in me, a realization that some places don't stay on the map. They stay in you. New York is not a city you visit. It's a city that visits you. Long after you've gone, it lingers. In the way you walk, in the songs you hear, in the way you suddenly crave bagels and don't know why. It's loud, it's wild, it's tough. But if you let it, it'll show you something about yourself you didn't know was there. And when you leave, part of you stays behind. Because once you've truly met New York, you never really say goodbye.